First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Barakata, the Wada. I want to give double honors to the apostles and teachers over at Great Millstone who teach this truth in sincerity and who rule well. I do not have a title for today's lesson, but it is going to be a lesson based on Revelation 4, Revelation, the 4th chapter, primarily about the 24 elders and the 4 beasts. So, without any further ado, let me get started. Revelation chapter 4. After this, I looked, and behold, a door was opened in the heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. Verse 2, and immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Verse 3, and he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. So in verse 3, when we go back to this jasper and sardine stone, that jasper and sardine stone, those are brown stones for the most part. Salaki, my voice is getting real dry. Those are brown stones for the most part. All right. And then when we get to this jasper and sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in the sight like unto an emerald. That's because an emerald is the stone which represents the tribe of Judah. So whenever you hear emerald in certain situations in the scriptures, the emerald is a stone ascribed to the tribe of Judah. So, all right. Verse 4, and round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Yahweh. So I just more so want to zero in on this last verse that I read. Verse 4, and round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. You know, these 12, we could go to Revelation 21. Let's go to Revelation 21. Let's stop playing. Bear with me. So this is Revelation 21. I'm going to start at 10, and we're going to get some of this going. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of Yahweh, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. All right, so these 12 tribes of the children of Israel, the patriarchs of our inheritance, they are written on the gates. All right. Their names are written on the gates. So for every gate, there is the name of the tribe of one of the patriarchs. Okay. This verse 13, on the east, 3 gates, on the north, 3 gates, on the south, 3 gates, and on the west, 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. So we just went from the gates to foundations now. We switched over. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. And in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. All right, so we already have the 12. We have the 12 apostles and we have the 12 patriarchs. So 12 plus 12 is 24. So these are the names that are already written in heaven. Okay. These are the names that are written upon the foundations of the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Okay. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of power, have these 24 people written. So, without much information on who the 24 elders are, we can infer that these 12 angels at these gates, that have the 12 patriarchs written on them, and the 12 foundations of the walls, which have the 12 apostles' names written on them, are or make up the 24 elders. Okay. So let's go back to chapter 4 in Revelation. And this is verse 5 actually. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Yahweh. And before the throne, verse 6, and before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne, round about the throne, were 4 beasts, full of eyes before and behind. Okay, so these 4 beasts had eyes before and behind. Okay. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. All right. So these four beasts, they have faces like man, like calf, like an eagle, and like a lion. Okay. Salakia, I'm looking at my notes. These beasts, and we can go into, these beasts can also describe a government. Let's go to Revelation 7 to see actually what these beasts are, though. Revelation 7. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. All right, so Revelation 7 describes these 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds, basically holding back destruction, that fire, that flame, because later on in the chapter it speaks of Yeah, because later on in the chapter, it speaks of the 12,000 from each tribe being sealed. So these four angels represent, these four beasts represent these four angels that stand on the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth, okay? But and it speaks of the 12 tribes being sealed, them holding back that destruction before the tribes get sealed. But before I even make a point, let's go to Numbers chapter 2, because it talks about four directions. And so we know about this destruction that's coming. They're holding back the destruction. But what else is a destroying force? War. So that's basically what they're holding back is these missiles coming. But that's war, okay? That's war. So let's go to Numbers chapter 2 so we could understand a little bit better about this war and this battle that's gonna happen. So this is Numbers chapter 2. And this is Moses. This is Moses and the children of Israel. I believe they are coming out of the wilderness still. You know, I haven't read this in a while, but this is talking about a battle formation, okay? This is Numbers chapter 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, every man of the children of Israel shall be pitched by his own standard with the ensign of their father's house, far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies. And Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah. And his hosts and those that were numbered with him were 314,600. And those that pitch next unto him shall be of the tribe of Issachar. Okay, so, but the standard was Judah, but Issachar dwelt with him, and Zebulun dwelt on the side of him. But the standard of that camp was Judah, okay? And it goes down, because I'm just going to read off the standards. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. So let's go down to verse 10 of the same Numbers chapter 2, verse 10. And on the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben. Okay, so on the south is the standard is Reuben, okay? And Reuben, Simeon, and Gad encamped in that southern standard, with Reuben being the standard of it, okay? So the leader or the standard of it, all right? So then we're going to go down to same chapter. We're going to jump down to 18. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim, according to their armies. Okay, so Ephraim was the standard or the leader of the west side. And who encamped with on the west side with Ephraim? Benjamin and Manasseh. Okay, so we're going to jump down to 25. The standard of the camp of Dan shall be on the north side by their armies, and the captain of the children of Dan shall be Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. All right, so Dan was the standard of the north, and who encamped by Dan? It was Asher and Naphtali. So these are just, these four beasts can be representative. You know, the standard of the encampments being between Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, and Dan. These beasts, these living creatures, are representative of the head tribes or standards, being for Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, and Dan. That could represent these four beasts. And let's actually get into it, because let's go back to Revelation chapter 4. Salakia. One moment. All right, so Revelation chapter 4. Okay, and I think I want to start at 7. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf. So it's describing these angels or these beasts or these living creatures, right? And it says the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf. So let's get into some of this so we could understand. We could have a little bit more understanding on what we're talking about, because we're talking about these standards, Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, and Dan being a standard. And what is the tribe of Judah? Well, we could go to, I'm not going to go to it, but in Genesis 49:9, Jacob describes his son Judah. He describes his son Judah as a lion's whelp. We could also go to Revelations 5, verse 5. Oh, it's right here. 5 verse 5, and it says, and one of the elders said unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Because we know that our Lord came from Judah, and Judah is a lion. Judah's symbol is a lion, okay? So already we have one of these faces, these beasts, as being a lion, okay? So then we have also, let's go back. The first beast was like a lion, and the second beast was like a calf. So let's see who is a calf. In order to do so, let me go to Deuteronomy chapter 33. And go to Deuteronomy chapter 33, and because we're trying to figure out who this calf is. So Deuteronomy 33 and 17. Okay, let's start at 13. Okay, so this is Deuteronomy 33 verse 13. And of Joseph he said, blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew and for the deep that coucheth beneath, and for the precious fruits brought. Need a little more light. Let me start that over. This is verse 13, Deuteronomy 33. And of Joseph he said, blessed of the Lord be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew and for the deep that cometh beneath, and for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelleth in the bush, Let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. So who is this? Who is this Joseph? Joseph had two sons named Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh was the firstborn, but Ephraim got the birthright. Ephraim got the birthright, and we could even go to, well, in Genesis 49, it says, that Ephraim got the blessing, which was supposed to, the blessing of the firstborn, which was supposed to go to Reuben, but Ephraim had got that. So that's why it says over here, his glory is like the firstling of, verse 16, and the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelt on the bush, let the blessings come upon the head of Joseph and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. Now we already know that Joseph got separated from his brethren, but also Jacob also gave Ephraim that blessing, and he separated him from Manasseh, which Manasseh was the firstborn, but Ephraim still got the blessing of the firstborn, which is that birthright, and he was separated from Manasseh. All right, so we're going to go to verse 17. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. All right. So what are bullocks? Bullocks are bulls. What are unicorns? The same. All right. So when we go back to Revelation, the 4th chapter, and it says, and the first beast was like a lion. Okay, so that's the standard of Judah, was that lion. The second beast like a calf. We could match that up with the standard of Ephraim, because Ephraim had a standard on the west side. Judah's standard was on the east side. All right. All right, now it says, and the third beast had a face as a man. And we're going to go back to the same chapter in Deuteronomy 33, but we're going to go to verse 6. All right, this is verse 6, the start of the blessings. All right, it says, this is Deuteronomy 33:6. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. So Reuben, his blessing is to be fertile, right? But let his men not be few. So he has numbers of men, all right? And since he was the actual firstborn, of Jacob, he is that man, okay? The firstborn male, the firstborn is a Reuben, okay? But in Deuteronomy 33, verse 6, let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. All right? That was part of his blessing. That man, he got them numbers. So men is part of his emblem, because he got them numbers. All right. So I really couldn't find anything on that when it says the face as a man in back in Revelation chapter 4 verse 7, because we already hit these points. And the first beast was like a lion, so that would be Judah, and the second beast like a calf, that would be Ephraim, and the third beast had the face as a man, that would be Reuben. And all of these are standards, okay? Leaders of a camp, which included 3 tribes of peace, okay? And the third beast had a face as a man. So we already went over that. That's Reuben. And the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. So by default, we are going to equate that with Dan, with the tribe of Dan standard, okay? That eagle just by default and lack of evidence, excuse me. We'll just equate Dan with that eagle. So there are four beasts, and each beast had 6 wings about him, okay? Oh, Salakim. So let me get to 8, verse 8. Because this is, I'm back in Revelations chapter 4. I'm going to start at 7. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf. And the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. Verse 8. And the four beasts had each of them 6 wings about him. Okay, so these 4 beasts each had 6 wings. And when you go to 6 wings and 4 beasts, that means there was 24 wings altogether with those 4 beasts. So it's either a coincidence or those 24 wings represent those same 24 elders, okay? Or the branches of government or municipality or faculties of, you feel me? So each of those 4 beasts have 4 wings about him. 4 times 6 is 24. These wings can symbolize a branch of government, its faculties. And even if we divide 144 by 24, you get 6. You get 6 if you divide 144. So if we divide 144,000 by the 24 elders, who are just the 24 heads of 24 faculties of the government that the 144,000 make up, right? If we did it like 144 divided by 24, each elder would be over 6,000. Each elder will be over 6,000 men. And each one of those 24 will be over 6,000. And each one of those 4 would be over 36,000. Because why? Because we just went into Numbers chapter 2, and each standard had 3 tribes, okay? So the east had 3 sides. The south side standard had 3 tribes. The west side standard had 3 tribes. The north had 3 tribes, okay? So even when we get into those standards in those 4 beasts, because if we go here in Revelation 4, where we never left it, but still, when we still here, and we at verse 7, and the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had the face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. So these 4 beasts can be heads over these elders, in which there's 24 elders, right? So if each beast had 6 wings, so that means they're over 6 elders. They're the head of 6 elders. So 4 times 6 is 24. And each elder is over a faculty of government. And that would just be more so, nothing is definite that I'm saying because I've never been to the heavens or been to the throne of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai to see any of these things. But I'm more so just going off the evidence and off through the spirit, through the spirit to see what is written down and to try to put it together. All right, so even with that being said, we could go into 1 Kings chapter 4. We could go into 1 Kings chapter 4 to see how Solomon had his government set up. So this is 1 Kings chapter 4. I'm going to just hit 1 through 7. King Solomon was king. So King Solomon was king over all Israel. And these were the princes which he had. Azariah, the son of Zadok, the priest. Eliorep and Ahiah, the sons of Shishai. Scribes. Jehoshaphat, the son of Eliud, the recorder. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the host. And Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. And Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers. And Zabud, the son of Nathan, was principal officer and the king's friend. And Abiashar was over the household. And Adoniram, the son of Aboda, was over the tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. All right, so it says each man Solomon had 12 officers. But earlier in this chapter, it said Solomon also had princes. So Solomon had princes and officers. It talks about 12 officers, but it talks about 11 princes because Solomon also was one of those. Okay, so 11 plus Solomon is 12. 12 princes, in which we know Solomon was the king, but we're going to say we had a king and 11 princes. That's 12. Then in another faculty of government, he had 12 officers. Okay. And what does it say? Verse 7, and Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. So that sounds like a government of 24 to me. That sounds like a government of 24. All right. Because he had 11 princes plus himself. Then he had 12 officers. So even when the officers, Salakim, he had the princes over his household and over the government, over a certain particular piece or faculty of government. And then he had officers which were over other provisions and services and work in their season as part of the government. Okay. So even when we look back at Deuteronomy 27, the Lord had 6 tribes, right? He had 12 tribes, but he had 6 tribes stand on Mount Gerizim for blessings, and he had 6 tribes stand on Mount Ebal for cursings, which for the most part just represent the balance of government. Okay, that's like that checks and balances that we see, that we supposed to see in today's Esau's government system, but it doesn't happen, because these six wings are, similar to six wings of government: one officer, one prince over the standard, over a three tribe standard, over a standard, So for four, there's four beasts. Each beast have six wings. And then you have, so each beast represents a standard. And then there's a leader. Okay, so those leaders, the four beasts, will be Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, and Dan, in which we know that they are over. Each beast has six wings. So why does it have six wings? Because each standard has three tribes in it. So Judah would be the standard for the east, and under Judah, that standard would be Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. So if it has an officer and a prince that are heads, that work as heads, right? So that means there's an officer and a prince for Judah, officer and a prince for Issachar, officer and a prince for Zebulun. Six representatives under the head person that's under that standard. That would be six wings. Each beast having six wings. That means six representatives or six faculties of government in which it will six faculties of government in which it places order and rule. Okay, so I'm not saying any of these things are concrete. What I'm saying, I'm just trying to go off what is written, and the evidences that are presented in this book. So I'm not trying to do the most by trying to be super deep. So, please, brothers, do not try to get at me like that. This is just a thought that I had that was in my mind, and the Spirit hopped on me to do a lesson about it. So, if anything, I hope you brothers were edified. Actually, let me go back into Revelation, see if I had missed anything. But I more so just wanted to harp on the 24 elders and the four beasts, okay? Because when we doing these numbers don't lie. When we go 144,000 divided by 24, we getting 6,000. 6 stood on Mount Gerizim, 6 stood on Mount Ebal, signifying government and balance. We got the four standards, being those four beasts, having six wings each. 6 times 4 is 24. Those 24 elders, and we equate those or correlate those to being the patriarchs whose names are written on the gates, and the apostles whose names are written in the foundations of the walls. And then we just went to 1 Kings chapter 4 about how Solomon had ran his government. 12, he had officers, and then he had princes, kind of two branches. Okay, and they each did their own, were responsible for their own weight that they had to carry or their own duties that they had to manage. Okay, so with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. And Lord willing, Adawan Ratazah, this lesson was edifying, and hopefully I can come back with another one, Lord willing. Shalom. Wa Baba Ba. Kwam Yasharala. Peace.